Hello, a warm welcome back to you all. Today's video I'm going to cover a couple of little makeovers actually. One thing I'm going to experiment is with the a change on the chassis for the HST. So I shall show that in detail. It's a little project today. You can buy these online from eBay and you're getting replacement Hornby chassis, like railroad chassis, that you can put on your Lima body shells. So I want to see how that fits and how that works. So I shall cover that in detail. So it'd be good to sort of experiment with that. Another thing we're going to do is I've got a few of these old wagons, the old vans. I want some sort of like BR sort of stock sort of thing. These would work. I mean, I made them into brown. I've got quite a few of them now. So I've just been going through all my my brake vans and normal vans or wagon vans and stuff like that, and I just want to make some BR stock. So I'll show you how I sort of tart these up to make them look like something quite desirable. So a little fun project. You can see they're all different colours. They're really old. They've got glue marks on. So let's make them something nice that will look nice on the layout. So that'll be another little project. And I've got one more little thing I'm going to cover in today's video, and that is the oil depot. So there's some work that I've been doing to that, and that'd be interesting to have a little follow-up. So let's get down. We'll start off with our HSTs and some of the work that I've been doing changing the chassis, which wasn't that easy, but we'll crack on. Now, there's a bit of a buzz about HSTs at the moment. We all love them. Now, Hornby have just released this in 2022 as a railroad version. You get the railroad chassis with the Lima tooling. It will be a little bit better than what this is, because obviously it's got the old holes in, because this is the old 1980s bodywork. So what I've done is I've taken this on as a complete new project. If the new ones were released with the hole vents in and all the detailing, by far I would have bought them and I would never have gone down this road. But because I've already got the old stock and I've decorated the roof fans and things like that, which are easy to do, and then you just dirty them over. What I've done is I've read that there's a guy that actually sells these chassis. You can buy the dummy and the motor chassis, which are railroad version, for about 80 odd quid on eBay somewhere. And on there it states that you can plug and play, put your body straight on top. Now it's not quite that simple. It's not plug and play. To make that fit, and I've had to do this off camera because it is a little bit manipulating, taking stuff off and working what fits, what doesn't fit, and it would have been pretty much an hour video of Dremel and all the rest of it. So the second body shell I've worked out is easy with the scalpel, and I've scored a line all the way through where this ridge is. So I've measured this ridge and then I've scored a line where it fits, and you have to cut back these pillars there, inside on both sides, and then there's a raised lip all the way inside the front of the cab, so you have to sort of take that down on both sides. And then the other thing you have to do, you have to take the glazing out and cut the glazing back by again this much, because the glazing actually comes down to about here, which would protrude on the back of the chassis, which lifts the body shell up, which you don't want. So cut your glazing down again, just run a couple of scalpel lines around it very deeply, sort of just really slowly going over it, and you'll find they'll manipulate and then they'll come apart quite easily without cracking. So practice on a bit of heavy glazed plastic if you can first. And then the other thing I really had to do was literally take a little chip out the back of the cab there, the back end of the guards bit. You can see I've leveled it off. They did come level to here where the cocktail stick is, but I've had to knock that back, and then I've actually taken a little skew off this side here and there, virtually millimeters either side, just to open that gap, and that purely is to house the recess of the back of the trailer. Otherwise that bit doesn't fit, otherwise it'd be sitting pretty much like that, okay, if you didn't do that. And it looks awful. That aside, I've 3D printed these little pegs, and I shall put some putty in there to maintain them. They're only super glued in. I actually put them in first. I measured the distance in there to the screw, so I measured all these distance, and then obviously put them in, and then sat the body on top, and the glue just held them enough to be recessed where they need to be. So I now got them in position. That's the easy way of doing it. So all said and done, it now fits. Obviously I've got to put the glazing in the back. I haven't done that. There is a slight sort of half mil or a millimetre overlap either side, so the newer version would clip better. So I shall add lights like I did in my previous video, and I will add obviously pickups again from the wheels like I did before. So that's another project I will do that's actually already been featured on one of my videos. So I hope this gives you some inspiration. It's not a how-to, it's just to basically show you that there is these chassis on the market. If you've got your old body shells, ones that you can't buy, I mean these are being re-released, so you know, you've got the option to buy or do the old ones. But if you've got some of the older stock that's not available, you could go down this route. But just to show you, you do need to take out these elements to make them fit. But once you've done it, you've got a new collection for your layout. And then you've got a nice set of old HSTs that you can reuse. So there we go. Hope that gives you some ideas, and I just thought I'd like to share that idea with you about body shells fitting old stock. So let's talk rolling stock, brake vans, wagons and all the rest of it. So these were unappreciated wagons or brake vans. They're all in browns and greys, reds and blues, and all different colours that just look very toy-like. So what I've done, I started with this one. This was one I bought for £7 or £8 from, it was reduced in, I think it was the Entertainer or something like that, not so long ago actually. It was very old stock, but it was just reduced. And it was still at that price because it was literally discounted beyond half price. And it was yellow with like a reddish underneath, but the red and the yellow really bled into each other, and the definition was a shame because there was lots of detail, but it just was a bit mismatched there. What I've done, I liked it at the time, but I've sort of now created it into an engineer's little brake van. Wouldn't have had the yellow at the end there, but because they're actually painted in to the plastic and it's molded as one part, I didn't want to ruin that, so I've just cheated and just masked off the grey. So I've just spray primed it, added some white edging and kept some of the decals on it. So that will go behind my engineer's stuff. That's really good. And I do like the look of these little brake vans with the rail freight. So I'm going to do some more wagons, more vans in the red stripe at the top. So that's good. And I've just done a grey roof dirt on the top. So again, they brought a bit more life to them. And this was an old Lima, and this must be about 46 years old because I had this when I was a kid. Now if you notice, it is a lot narrower, so it is very narrow. But I thought being so narrow, it'd be good to actually use as an underground, you know, the underground stock, which is exactly as that looks. And I just roughly hand painted them with a cocktail stick. I didn't want it to look too perfect. I wanted to look weathered or something. Weathered, that's a funny word. And then I put some sort of dust and stuff on the side there. So again, this is about 46 years old. It's a Lima, and I just didn't like it. It's been just sitting in a box. So again, that'll go with the underground stuff. That'll go with all the bits it needs to, the rail freight. So these will look nice trundling around the layout in its own right. So that's good. So, like many brake vans, you have to have a little red light on the back. So I thought I'd build my own little LED on the back. I've done this by putting a little bit of blue tack on the lens bit and just sprayed the actual rest of the LED in white car spray, and then remove the blue tack, and the light then shines through that little aperture. Now it is a little bit too bright and you do get light bleed. The easy way to overcome this was to reduce the voltage of the LED. This by using some step down resistors and adding my own little stay alive unit, which gives me about 2 minutes of actual power, so plenty of time to keep my little light glowing around the track. So all in all, very pleased with the project, and like to say thank you for everybody that shared their ideas of adding lights to brake vans on the internet. It was very inspirational, so thanks to all them guys and all your support. So all in all, job done, very happy. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a few of these little old wagon vans, and I think it's time that they have a real good makeover. Something quite simple, nothing too drastic, just to sort of bring them in keeping with the era of the layout of the 1980s and 1990s. So it's a case of spraying them in grey primer and doing a very light paint job to make them look a little bit more different. So let's crack on and see how they look. Right, so the first thing to do is mask off this area here. So if you can just see, I'm going to create this area. So I want to go about a third up the van. So what we do is I always go to the edge of the air vent, which is I think what we did on that one. That's why I've used the same vans. I put my glasses on because then I can see what I'm doing. Makes life a lot easier. I will just measure that. It needs to come, that's about right. That's right. So there we go, so that's good. And now we just paint this bit here. So I'm now going to push the tape into the recesses, and when I paint this, I'll actually paint off the tape, not down into the tape, otherwise you get bleed underneath the masking tape, and that's not the best. But you can always go over it with a bit of grey primer once you've done. So that's that one. I shall carry on with these three, and then we'll paint them up. Okay, once you've masked up your vans, taking this red, and this is the ideal colour for the rail freight vans, but it works for me. So I'm going to take a little pot, and in this case a little lid, and I'm going to put a dab of paint onto the lid, and this purely just to stop the paint from drying up, and you will keep nice fresh paint that way. So I can use the paint from the lid. With this, just paint the sides the red stripe, so we're going to add that in on all these. And then I'm going to start doing the front ends. Right, so I've now finished doing the sides, and I've given them two coats of paint around the sides, and I say I've just brushed them on. You can just see the definition of the old branding underneath there, and I quite like that actually, because it looks like they've been reused, which is something BR would have done at their time. So these wouldn't have been the style of van, that have been a little bit different, but at the end of the day, these are full vans that got the same. I wanted to keep them, you know, to be a bit generic. So once you've got your top layer done, I mean, you could spray them, you could have them done in seconds, but it'd probably get a nice sharper line, but it got a little bit of bleed there. I'm not worried about that too much, but I've got plenty of time, and I just quite enjoy painting them actually. But now we need to do the end bits, which is the end bit there. So I shall now go through doing these end bits. Right, okay, so I've carried on with painting these. As you saw, I painted them all up. I've done the ends, so I've done that now on all of them. So once you've got the top on, and you get that nice little definition of all the detail comes out quite nicely, so it looks quite good. So I've carried on with the chassis, so I've actually painted the buffer beam and the piston arms of the buffers. So there we go. So this is the end of the day, this is what we're looking at to get some the wagons sort of like coming in to the road, and they're starting to look as they should. And then again, I've got a set of 4 of them. So that's the idea, and that one I've got another chassis there. So I'll just marry that one up. That was nice and easy. There we go. And there we go. So I shall glue them in place. So quite a successful little job, all in all. A little bit more rolling stock. That's my finished thing. So I think we'll get these onto the layout and do some running shots, then running around and give them a new life. as you can see, I've completely remodernised or completely emptied out the oil depot that was originally there. What I have done, I've laid some sand down, so I've done some PVA glue and I've laid some beach sand on top, and then I've let that dry, set right in, and just gently put some bits on top just to fill some of the gaps. Let that completely set, repaired little bits, and then I just painted over and then use oil weathering washes on top, and create that sort of dirty sort of look, and it seeps into the glue when it was wet, and you get that sort of marbling, which is sort of, you know, like it's been used. So that's given me a nice base for the oil depot. For those that can recall the old oil depot, we used to have a little tank there, which was nice. I liked it. It's quite fitting for what it was, but looking at Old Oak Common, it would have had a bigger storage, an oil tank. This was very prototypical. They have a little building exactly the same as that, a little pump house, and it was literally as that is. So I need to put some little pumps and valves outside there. Obviously the tank would have been at the back there in the real picture. I can't do that because the track's there, and I'm going to change that. There's a cat on the roof. That or a lion. So that's said and done. I've created these little fuel tanks, and I've made these modular so I can move them around a little bit to get a look. I didn't want to sort of bombard them all together, so I like the fact that that fits there. And I've made another one again with a little pipe work. I just 3D printed these out, and I've gone a little bit rusty on them. I do like the sort of the look of that, maybe a bit too much, but the pipe work at Old Oak Common was white, the fuel pipe was white, and it did go quite rusty over time. So probably would have been as rusty as this while it was in use, because it would be condemned. But anyway, but I've made these little modular little fuel tanks, and these are good sort of move around. I can have a look how I want to put them. I can change them around, just have two if I wanted to. So yeah, it gives me a lot of options however I want to do it. So yeah, quite happy with that if I'm honest with you, but I just haven't set a mind how it's going to look. I think every configuration works, but definitely needs at least three of them or three of them together to sort of get that look. Anyway, so that's the fuel depot, that's the update. I will put some barrels and stuff in there. That's the next thing I will add. I've made loads of them, they will all go in there. So that'll be the fuel barrel storage. The tankers can come in and they can drop off their oil and all that sort of thing, fill up the main tanks for a bit. Obviously it's not a huge storage, but it'll be enough to keep the workforce going through their daily deliveries, and that's pretty much my plan really. So that's said and done. That's pretty much an update on my oil depot for the moment. It may change, it may get a little bit more of a makeover, but for the moment I'm quite happy with it until I've decided what I really want. So what have we created? So looking at some of the old trains that I've got, you can see a lot of this would have all gone in the bin, or just scraps and pieces been made over to something else. But I've got 3 brake vans there. I've got 4 or 5 new wagons in rail freight livery. I've resaved some of the brown ones I wasn't using. They look good now with the other stock. And again, the Lima Mark 1s that just wasn't being used, I've sprayed them over into Royal Mail, so they'll go round with the Royal Mail train. And then obviously we've got the HST with the new chassis, so I've now got them running the old Hornby body ones, so that looks pretty good. So a saving of, you know, if you work out a coach is about £40, blah blah blah, and the rest. So I've got 2 coaches, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wagons there that I've saved, and obviously 1, 2, 3 brake bands, let alone the cost of a HST. So all in all, there's over 300 quid's worth of savings just by renewing your old stock that is probably sitting in a box that you don't want to use, just giving it a new livery, a bit of paint. And I haven't gone really crazy painting these are just done with spray cans and hand painted with acrylic, so there's nothing too technical. So these are just projects that pretty much anyone can do. The lines on the Royal Mail coaches are not pristine, but they do the job. They match in with what it should do, and when they're running around the layout, it's a bit of fun stock to run with it. So yeah, so that I'm really happy with all that. Certainly gives me a lot more stock. So all in all, quite a saving. and certainly worth doing. So I'd like to say a massive thank you for everyone for watching, and obviously all your comments, and obviously keeping up with the channel. But again, thank you so much. It really means a lot. I will be back very soon. I won't leave it as long, I promise. Unfortunately, work and all the rest of it gets in the way, and I've had to pick up the shifts where I can. I am trying to get through more videos. I have got some more videos I've recently done, so they will follow very soon. So keep posted, and I'm sure we'll catch up. Anyway, till next time, as we always say, happy modelling, and I'll see you all soon. I think I've put the wrong number in there. That's probably why it's not working. Hey Gary. Yes. What's that? Do you think we could do that clone thing that Richard did? Not really. No. That'd be quite funny. Well, we're not celebrities like him, are we? No. And let's be honest, he made the tea. Tea? Yes, please.